to the BRRRR Cashflow Investors Live, and it's all about Q&A. So we're going to talk about question and answers, and I just wanted to kind of, as we get started, remind everybody, guys, invite your friends, family, and get everybody fired up about real estate investing, because the next half an hour is all about answering your questions and what is possible in today's market. So if you have guys been kept up with what we've been up to, Chattanooga Grace won the, not Chattanooga Grace, what's her name? Chinette Grace won the last prize that we gave away. There were 2 tickets for American Airlines, Fly Anywhere, and so that was kind of fun. So everybody that she invited, I guess there was a bunch of people invited, lots of friends. The community is growing, and as you invite more people, you have more chances to win. And so the last winner was her. The winner before that was one was Amal, and then one was Trinidad. Yeah. Did Trinidad win? Okay, so Trinidad, Amal, and then this was Chinette Grace, not Chattanooga Grace. Okay, so if you guys have been kind of watching any of the posts that we have done on Facebook, on Instagram, you saw that today was 3 of 19, which is, what that means is that I had to go to 19 properties to get them under contract, 3 of them under contract, 1 home run out of the ballpark in Westchester, another one home run that was in Romeoville, and then the third one, a really solid good deal in Schaumburg that is closing actually tomorrow. So I don't know what it takes, right? I still have offers out. I'm following up with agents. So for some people, it's frustrating because they're like, oh my God, Andrew's market is hot. Guys, listen, if you have noticed in the last week and a half, the market has changed. In the Chicagoland market, definitely shifted. So, and it's shifting because we're already in winter. I know you're going to say, Andrew, it's 90 degrees outside. What is wrong with you? But in July is when the sales shift, generally July, August in the Chicago market, and we start going into a little bit different market. So if you're in A-B areas, guess what? Like, I'm trying to buy properties all in A areas, right? So in those areas, the market is hot, but there are subtle things you're going to start noticing where there are going to be more inventory that is coming on the market, more properties that are going to auction. So you people, everybody from Platinum Mastery, pay attention to this, right? Let's start doubling down and buying. We're seeing a lot of good inventory that is hitting the market, especially for the auctions. So guys that are from Gold Platinum Mastery, make sure you get it going, especially people from Platinum Mastery. Having said that, let's jump right into it. Question number 1 was, I guess for me, was what are the biggest challenges that you have faced in your career so far? So if you honestly really boil it down, right, you would say, well, it was starting out with no money, would have been a challenge. It was maybe host of other things that happened, me losing the gas station, all of those. But if I really boil it down to one thing, and only one thing, it was simply belief in myself. That's the biggest challenge, right? It's because what I do today in terms of investing is no different than what I did in 2008. Yet today I can talk to people with confidence. Now, where does the confidence come from? Confidence is built by experience. Where does experience come from? Experience comes from small successes that are stacked in front of one another and one another. Suddenly, you have a world of experience, you have a world of confidence, and you can pull something off with a 99% of certainty, right? And the only way to get certain is when you start out uncertain, right? There's a lot of areas of my life. You would be shocked if you found out how non-confident I am. I just happen to be pretty confident about what I do in real estate, and that too a small part of it, obviously. You can't know anything because there's too much to know. Everything because there's just too much to know. And if I can say one of the biggest challenges, biggest challenges that I had was that I was not low self-esteem, right? And over time, I've tried to build it by taking small risks, multiplying them over a period of time, and then becoming confident, unconsciously competent in what I do so that I have the confidence. But literally, if I could take a a friend of mine's child, somebody else's child, or if I have my own kids one day, right? If I could give them one thing, it is good self-esteem. Not thinking of yourself bigger than who you are, but good self-esteem, because somebody who has a good self-esteem, not saying overconfident, but somebody who says, you know something, I am somebody. Because literally when I had no money or when I had less money, I wasn't a different person. I just lacked the confidence, because all the value in the world, unfortunately, I'm able to admit it today, I attached with money, right? And that was my sole biggest challenge, because so many opportunities I let go, so many things. And in some other areas of my life, in personal areas of my life, right? Certain things, I'm still working on that part of it. So the biggest challenge, my own self-confidence in me. It may seem like it, that, I have a lot of the outside success, all the toys, all the stuff, the properties, a lot of the things, but yet that is one of the biggest challenge, was self-esteem, and if you can help your child to build that, probably one of the best blessings, more than money, because money is something anybody can earn. That's a learned skill set, right? That is something that can be 100% learned. The bigger problem is your own good self-esteem. So hopefully that answers the question. What was the most rewarding experience in your real estate career? It's a couple folds, right? One is on my personal side, and a lot of times people think, well, it's buying expensive, fancy car, like buying a Bentley, buying a Ferrari, buying a Rolls Royce. It's not it. It's absolutely not it, right? Buying an airplane, absolutely not it, right? The most rewarding thing for me today is being able to walk in a mall or being able to go get a new set of tires, right? And I know the couple $1,000s is going to go through on my credit card, right? Because I've gone to to get brakes changed and not had the $400, $500, $600, $800 at one time in my life to be able to get the brake job done. Or I've gone to a car store, like where I needed new tires, and they're like, well, it'd be better if you change all four. And clearly I'm trying to change one tire, right? Because that's the one. And I mean, they know it, you can't afford it. But nobody over there is judging. They're like, hey, I'm just trying to sell customer a tire or whatever, a set of tires, and not being able to afford that. You feel lower than dirt. It's not the big things. It's the smaller things which I don't have to worry about. The other day, I don't know, I was at some sort of a crazy expensive mall. Oh, we're in New York, right? And we're at Bergdorf's, this big fancy flagship store. And Miss Gina, I'll pick on Miss Gina. Miss Gina is looking at these purses that cost 10, 20, 30, 40,000 bucks for a purse, for a woman's purse, right? And the funny part of that was that, not that I bought anything there, but I was like, at least if I give my credit card, right, a platinum a card for American Express, I know if they put 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 150,000 on it, it will go through. And at the end of the month, I can actually pay for it. Just the ability to know that that is possible, it makes me feel good, right? But the biggest joy is whenever I have to buy a set of tires. I can't wait to buy a set of tires. And now I change all four of them. And I do because there was a time in my life that I could not afford tires. My credit card would not have gone through. So you would think it'd be big things. It was not big things. It's the smaller things, like being able to go to a restaurant, ordering what you want, and not having to worry about it. Like, the small things are much more important. But in terms of real estate, probably the most rewarding thing, or the most rewarding things, is that my dad, as some of you guys know, about 2-3 years ago, passed away. And I remember getting a call from India, and one of his friends that was a doctor. So he had gotten he had an issue, right? And my mom and dad both passed away within 30 days of each other. And, he had said to me that, this was actually my mom's case, not my dad's case, sorry, where he said, you got to take her to the United States when you get back. Literally, I get there 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, and next day, I was going to make arrangements to have a charter jet fly her all the way from India all the way to the United States with a pit stop somewhere in the middle in Europe, right? And the ability to know that I could afford to do that. The flight would have cost me about $150,000, $145,000 is the quote I got, which I was okay with. It had nothing to do with real estate, but the nice thing was I had enough cash flow to be able to do that. And life sometimes has a interesting sick sense of humor, where my mom passed away literally 3 o'clock in the morning. I get a call, and it is what it is. But at least I had the ability to be able to do that, and real estate did that. And that was on a personal front. On the business front, probably the most rewarding thing today is when I see somebody like Miss Christine come to the stage at the 3-day, right? A social worker who never made more than $30,000 in her life that has today, 25, 30 rentals. Somebody like Oswaldo and his wife and his kids, that literally he used to own a shoe repair store downtown that today have $8,000 or $9,000 net in cash flow income, right? It's more than what I have. It's in some small way. All of these people came to Mastery that today own over 19,000 properties, and that gives them a cash flow income. Or probably one of the most impactful ones is Billman. Frank Billman from Mastery. We used to kid him all the time because he acted so immature at one time in his life. And we're like, Billman, stop it, man, right? And we used to call him, hey, this is Frank Billman. I want to buy a Ferrari, because that was his thing. I want to buy a Ferrari. This is all he would. And I'm like, shut up, dude, right? There's other more important things in life. And I think that during Corona sometime, his wife got cancer. And at that time, the Ferrari, everything else went out the window. Yet, even with no income coming in, just on the cash flow income, during Corona, he was able to afford all the medical bills beyond what the insurance covered, right? That part of it, that because he showed up 3-4 years before that, and we kept trying to tell him, hey, man, build up cash flow, build up cash flow, build up cash flow. For me, that is one of the biggest blessings. But anyways, I could go on and on, but anyways. How common is a double closing around the Chicagoland area due to wholesales being illegal? If not common, why not? Okay, so number one, James Grace is asking this question. Good question. So let me just kind of peel the myth behind it. Number one, wholesaling is not illegal. It is absolutely not illegal at all whatsoever, period. So let me explain what the deal is with wholesaling. With wholesales around Chicagoland area, right? Nobody can make wholesaling illegal. So it's your constitutional right to be able to sell something in the United States. What the rule says, so about 3-4 years ago, what happened was IDFPR, Illinois Department of Professional Financial Regulations, right? IDFPR. What they did was they put something in place, which is that if you're going to do more than one wholesale, so that's like saying if you're going to sell more than 1 or 2 cars a year, right? Like I can, in my parking lot here at the office, we can get 10 cars, put all for sale signs on them. Can I sell that? Sure. Some point, the city of Lombard or somebody is going to come and say, hey, listen, man, you got a parking lot, so you're selling basically, you got a used car lot or a new car lot, whatever. So you need to get a business license, and you need to get whatever the thing is, registered with the state as a car dealer. Why? Because I'm not just selling one car. Now, can I sell 1 car, 2 cars a year? Is anybody going to say anything by myself? No, of course not. But if I'm going to be a dealer because I'm doing this much volume, that's where the issue is. So with wholesales, what the state law says is if you're going to do one wholesale, meaning you get a property in a contract, you sell it without closing on it, that's a wholesale for them, right? That, if you're going to do, no problem. If you're going to be doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they consider that a business. For that, if you're going to do that, you need to get a real estate license. That way it is regulated. So this whole thing, when people say it is illegal, it is absolutely not illegal. There are rules around it if you're going to be in the business of wholesaling. So please get that idea out of your mind. Now, the second thing, if you're going to do a, let's say, assignment of contract, or if you're going to do a double close, right? Both of them you can do. But if you're going to do 5, 10, 15, 20 of them, then the state wants you to get a license. Now, can you go ahead and buy a property and then sell the property? You bought the property with the intent of keeping it. Then you sold the property. Is there anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. So when people ask, how common is it to do double closes? It's very, very common to do double closes if you have a big margin. Meaning, like I just bought a property the other day. I think I've talked about this in Romeoville, and the wholesaler made $50,000, right? That's what they made. Now, we made it possible so that the seller in that case, I mean, think about the seller. The seller sold the property $60,000. This wholesaler sold the property to me $110,000. So I don't mind the wholesaler making a lot of money. God bless, right? I wish him nothing but the best. So because he gave me a great property, so I'm good with it. Now, somebody like me, I don't care. Now, you may look at it. I mean, there have been people in Mastery, good seasoned investors, and they've walked away from property. This was a property in Lindenhurst that I bought. I paid $50,000 in a wholesale fee on that property also, close to it, so, or maybe even more. And there were a bunch of people of Mastery, as soon as they found out that the wholesaler in between was making $50,000, guess what they did? They killed the deal. Why? Because, oh, you're making so much. Guys, listen, how do I care if I'm getting a great deal? I don't care, because why? I'm a professional investor. I care about what I'm going to make, not what you're going to make. I hope you make a ton. God bless you. I'm not jealous of how much you make. So a lot of times what happens is, when do you do a double close? You do a double close when the margin is very wide. So you're buying it from the seller for 60, you're selling it for 110. You're making a ton of money. You don't want the seller to find out what is happening, and you don't want the buyer to find out, right? What is happening, that's when you do a double close, right? Generally, to avoid, quote unquote, because it's illegal, as a lot of people believe. And the question that James asked, I'm so glad that James asked this question, because a lot of people have this impression, because a lot of attorneys say this, a lot of real estate officers are notorious for saying this. Read the law, guys. Read the law. There's a section on wholesaling. IDFPR has it right on their websites, right? So there's nothing to hide. They cannot make it illegal, because that would be against our Constitution. Right, the right of ownership of land, that would be basically against, I believe it's the second, third, but don't ask me which one, but it's against one of those. So they're not going to go against that, right? That would be a big problem for them. They're just saying, if you're going to be a dealer, they consider you a dealer because you're doing a whole bunch of business, and they don't want you to basically be unscrupulous. Hence, they're saying, just please get your real estate license. There's no such thing as a wholesale stopping police. There's no such thing. You do a wholesale or two, nobody's going to stop it. I mean, one of them is clearly in their guidelines, is completely fine, right? Beyond that, now, if you start doing 15, 20, 30 of them, and they get complaints, they can civilly fine you. That's all it is. So, but I would always suggest that if you're going to run a business, then do it by the book. You have no issues. The next question was, Lee was asking this question, that if you're starting over fresh, and your goal is $7,500 net a month, so they want to make $7,500 net a month, would you prioritize cash flow, buy and hold, wholesaling, or fix and flip? So this is a great question. So if your goal is $7,500 a month and you're starting out fresh, so when you're saying you're starting over fresh because you had some sort of a financial mistake, did you go through a divorce? Did you go through some other type of a financial upheaval or a personal life upheaval? If that is the case, what I would do is this. I would not look at it whether I'm going to do flips, whether I'm going to do rentals, whether I'm going to do wholesales. The way you should look at it is how we look at it in Mastery. Every time you're looking for a good deal. That's what you're looking for every time. Right? You're not looking for a wholesale. You're not looking for a flip. You're not looking for a rental. You're looking for a good deal, period. Right? Doesn't matter what it fits. At that time, the top of the pyramid is always owning the property forever as a rental or as an Airbnb. That should be your priority. But if you say, well, can I do a wholesale? Can I do either I can basically assign the property, or I can do a double close, whatever the case may be. So you look at all three things. You may say, Andrew, I'd love to buy the property. I'd love to keep it. But man, I really need cash and I need it now. If that's the case, then understand you may have to do a wholesale, or you may do a partnership flip, or you may do a flip by yourself, right? So, but your goal always should be that, hey, I want to keep the property. Every property you look at, I want to keep the property. But sometimes, like for me, early on, I had to do a lot of flips. Why? Because I didn't have any other option. If you had given me an option at the time, what I would have done is I would have understood, because I used to be every property I'd find out, flip it. Every property I'd find out, flip it. What I should have done if I was smart, be very selective. All the stuff that is not much margin, wholesale that crap, right? To somebody else. Let somebody else do it. If it's outside the area in which I operate, wholesale it. I used to just pass those properties instead of getting them under contract and just wholesaling the contracts or wholesaling the property itself, right? I didn't know that at the time. So I would try to do as many flips as possible. Too many flips going on at one time, I'd lose financial control, and then that was very, very tough. So my per flip profit would decrease. So then what I started doing by 2010, so 2008, I had done 10 closed deals. 2009, 30, 2010, I had done 60. What I realized was this, that on 33 properties, I made more than $44,000 or to $50,000 per flip. Think about that on 33 deals. 33 times 44, you do the math, right? That's million some dollars. And on the rest of the properties, I had made very little money. Question becomes is why? Because what I was doing was I was trying to take a donkey and put him in the Kentucky Derby, giving him the best food, the best training, the best environment. And guess what? I was trying to make him win the Kentucky Derby. You can't take a donkey, doesn't matter how good a diet, how good a trainer, how good everything you give him. A donkey is going to be a donkey is going to be a donkey. That doesn't have the genetics to run in the Kentucky Derby. Nothing wrong with the donkey. But guess who the bigger fool was? Me. I was the bigger fool because I was basically, I would get a donkey, pretend it was a horse, and then I would get mad that it can't run in the Kentucky Derby. What I'm trying to say with that is this, that your job is not to say, oh, I'm only going to do wholesales. Oh, I'm going to do flips. Oh, I'm only going to do this. Your job is to say, I'm looking for good deals. Whatever form they show up in, then you decide, what am I going to do? Because that's how you reach quicker to your goal. Some properties make sense just to wholesale. They're not properties you should be keeping in your portfolio at all whatsoever, period. So if there's a property that comes in as a wholesale because it's not a good location, it's not a good area, it's not an area where you should be keeping the property. If you keep that property, it's going to hurt you. Why? Because the area selection is going to be bad. The tenant selection in that area, the pool of tenants is not going to be good, and it's going to be a constant headache, right? So if you want to get to $7,500, you got to prioritize keeping properties. But sometimes you're going to have to maybe partner with somebody else. You may not be able to do it. For me, at that time, in 2011, when I started buying rentals, I couldn't do refi loans. At the time, now you can do that because now you have commercial products that are available, so you can get to 7,500 much quicker. But 7,500 should be your goal, but you focus on the property, look at what is the best for that property, then do that with it. Now, at some point, you'll find properties that are great flips and great cash flow properties. So if you need the income, then you flip it, of course, right? But if you don't need the income, you have a full-time job doing something else, then we will always, if you're around us in Mastery, we will always try to tell you, keep it, keep it, keep it. That's our job. Our job is not just for you to be rich. Our job is for you to have wealth, meaning if you spend $10,000 a month, we want you to have $12,000 coming in every single month. That's wealth. So hopefully that makes sense. Next one was, so this is somebody that's brand new to Mastery, Ramon. So Ramon, number one, welcome. Brand new, starting out, excited in Mastery. Been practicing looking up properties in Redfin, Zillow until class officially starts. Class officially starts actually today, right after, in about half an hour. But where we meet is on Saturday. So super excited to meet you. Any suggestions or advice how to be more effective in landing properties? My fiance and I are driven to get our first deal. Okay, so number one is, and this is something, if you're not in Mastery, this still applies to you. Number one is figure out where do you live, number one, right? So I'm hypothetically just going to say, let's just say you live in the Aurora area. If you live in the Aurora area, I would identify what is an A area first. A area will be Naperville, right? Aspirational, affluent area. And then A area will be a part of Aurora, which has the good schools, 204 good school district. Right next to it is going to be the B areas. Right next to it is going to be generally the C areas. So I would look at that, what areas make the most sense for you. So I'm assuming that for this person, because I don't know them yet, that they're looking for basically either rentals or flips or that, so on and so forth. I would basically I would go to Redfin, and I would not go to the MLS, I would go to Redfin. Go to Redfin and basically just hand draw on your phone, or you can do it on your computer with a mouse, right? Draw about a 30, 35-minute circle around that particular area, right? And then set up the search on single family properties from basically 0. So don't put a low price range, put a high price range. I would put basically about, say, 350. If you're looking in Naperville and surrounding areas, and then put 1 bedroom and more. Don't limit it by, oh, I only need a 3-bedroom or whatever, right? And then what you're doing is generally you're looking at the bottom 20 percentile off the market, 20 to 25 percentile off the market in terms of price range, and start getting out. You want to see what are the properties that are coming up, right? Each day it'll pop up, and turn your notifications on for Redfin, and it'll start popping up. And as soon as the property pops up, the only thing you have to look at is, so let's just say a property pops up tomorrow, West Chicago. Right? Property popped up. Like 2 days ago, there was a property in West Chicago that came. And as soon as it came, that was actually from a wholesaler. So as it came, boom, I was like, well, okay, where's the property? So as soon as I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, this property on the back end is worth about 360 right now. This wholesaler is trying to sell this particular property for 220. Right? So 360 on the back end, 220 they're selling it for. I know the back end. How do I know that? Area selection. That's the first thing that we cover in mastery. It's the most important thing. People think numbers are important. Numbers are not important. The most important thing is area selection, because that's how I know what the back end value on a property is going to be. So the first thing was, immediately I called the wholesaler. I'm like, hey, listen, man, based on the pictures that you have, right, I'll buy this property right today, 178. They're like, how can you say that, Andrew? You haven't even looked at the property. I'm like, I saw your pictures. And if your pictures are not lying, this is a 90K rehab, right? This is just what it is. So in the meantime, I'm driving out there. I go over there. I look at the property. I'm like, done deal. 178 to 180, I'll pay for it. No questions asked. Guess why I knew that? I knew that because I know that area. I know what the back end value of that area is. So the first thing what I would do, especially for you because you're from Mastery, watch the area selection video, number 1, right? Just go through that, and we're going to repeat that we'll do it just basically a different way live in class on Saturday, but just go through that, set up your Redfin search, and start going out and looking at properties and call the listing agents. Those are the 3 things that we want you to do. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. Don't move any ahead. That's all you focus on for this week. So having said that, guys, it's 6 o'clock. We will come to an end for the Q&A today. Again, please keep sending your questions. We will keep answering them as much as possible, to as much detail as possible. Some great questions. And we will talk to you on Friday. Thanks a bunch, and have a good day.